オには貢献しましたよ。
いや、これビデオのために持ってきてんだから。何言って自分のためじゃない、ビデオのために持ってきてんだよ。
Let's see if Okazama brings some of that crash juice to the preliminaries. Lots of eye-catching cars in these preliminaries. East Japan Series winner Andrew Gray is looking to make some waves. But he crashes out in splendid form. Looks like his rear tires got caught on the sidestep that came off on the stretch, causing his car to go careening out of control. Here's a BMW equipped with an i6 NA engine. A lack of power makes Suzuki lose control of his drift and get disqualified. Up next, it's Kazama the Stinker. You hope for a second that the quality of the car makes up for his horrible skill, but nope, it's a bust. In his third and final run, he fumbles his gear change at corner 1 and ends up understeering in front of the judges. His car may be great, but it's his skills that need fixing. Kazama stoops his shoulders in disappointment, just like he always does.
なんかいける気がしたんだけどな、今回。
だからあっこがいけたらいけてましたよ。あっこだけでしたよ。あの失敗が。分かってないんやろなと思いながら見てるけど、あそこがダメなんだ。
違うんだ、本人できたんだって。俺はできる子でできてたの、練習は。
Half the contestants will be going home now. The ones who made it grin in confident joy. Andy Gray survived his crash to deliver a solid performance and move on to the Tonso run. And as for Kazama the Stinker, well, there's always next time. It's another beautiful day as the tournament begins. In the announcer's seat is Manabu Suzuki, with Ken Nomura offering his own brand of off-color commentary.
暇な皆さんと、マニアの皆さんに分かりやすく解説ができるように。
今じゃない。
The main judge, as always, is Kamimoto, joined by special guest Nobushige Kumakubo, the owner of this circuit.
前回の GP では、ちょっと不本意な走りだったので、今日こそいい走りをしたいと思います。
いやいや、違う、終わった。あれ終わった。はい。終わった。
いい走りを今日選手たちがしてくれると思いますので、最後まで応援よろしくお願いします。
はい。
The driver's greeting will be delivered by the first foreigner to make it past the preliminaries, Andy Gray.
同時通訳しましょうか。してください、野村さん。
Of course, so I'll do my best to impress. I drive here
あれはね、16年前にオレンジ色の光が光ったんで、あれはね、間違いなく UFO だね、いて。
Here are the judgment points for Ebisu. With the level of the field improving every year, the judges are also getting stricter. Drivers must leap into the final corner while drifting. No need to countersteer along the stretch, but too much shakiness will cost points. Drivers need to then miss the corner 1 clip before zooming towards the outer clip. Drivers need to then miss the corner 2 clip in a controlled line and approach corner 3. Finally, drivers need to hit the inner clip at corners 3 and 4 before taking off along the outer edge. Let's get the Tonso run started. First up is Ladies League top seed Michie Mimoto. She enters decently, slowly putting on an angle. Oh, and swings right into the wall!
あ、いた。どうしたの？今何かが車内で起きた。
起きたですね。運転手は大丈夫なんですか？
大丈夫ですね。
人工呼吸とかしに行かなくてもいいですか？
全然結構でございます。全然大丈夫です。
意識あるみたいなんで。ああ、なんだ。
大丈夫です。
Mimoto will need to patch up that front section in time for the Ladies League tournament. Here comes Yusuke Kusaba, showing some nice speed. Solid entry there. He straightens out at corner 3. Next up is Toshihiko Mizuno, who passed the preliminaries in 18th place. He leaps into the air, lands smoothly, and goes on to display an excellent angle and speed control. This is some great drifting.
これはうまい。
3桁つけた。
いや、これはうまい。
It's now Masaya Kikuchi, ranked 32nd. He cuts close to the walls, but overuses his handbrake, and he's looking less than dynamic. Too bad. Here comes Daisuke Nakamura, ranked 41st. And looking sluggish right from the entry. He must have left his speed back home.
第一印象の登場のとこですよね。
はい。登場は野村さん大事ですよね。
大事ですよ。
スーパースターもいつでもまずは登場。
はい、ちょっと遅刻気味に行くのがね、みんなが焦っていいんですよ。
なるほど。
Here's Koji Yamaguchi in his Inter-Series Tonso debut. He barely misses the walls, and his overly gutsy run has taken him off course.
これの NPO 法人に入れましょうか。NPO
野
法人。
村さんが NPO 法人の会長
そう、
なんですよ。
ノープランおじさん。
そう、ノープラン。
NPO ですよ。
It's now Kitaoka. He's looking a bit straight on entry, and he's depending too much on the handbrake. This is not a good run. Here comes Ochiai with a solid entry. But he drifts too far to the outer edge, and his rear tires go over. It's now Kajihara, ranked 21st. He slams his rear into the wall and spins out of control! Too bad. It was a brave attempt. Next up is Andy Gray from Scotland. He swings his car and barely misses the wall. This is looking pretty good. Just a bit of handbrake use and perfect! Great direction switch at corner 3. Oh, this is definitely one of today's best. It's now Yamada, who swings in too hard and is forced to straighten out a bit. He had the right idea, just not enough skill to pull it off. Next up is Tomioka, who makes a delayed drift entry. He never quite recovers and fails to find a good rhythm. Here comes Fukuyama, who's looking shaky. That angle as he passes the judges isn't too hot either. This isn't going to get much of a score. It's now Ono, who goes roaring into his entry. Oh boy, he is really riding that speed. He's sporting a terrific angle and is doing a great job controlling his ride. This is a good one, ladies and gents.
力のなさをね、角度でカバーしてると思う。ですよね。
Up next is Waki and his S14. He goes on the attack and puts on a great angle as he travels down the course in a beautiful line. This should make the judges happy.
100点。
上本さん100点。
俺ちょっと厳しかった。
熊久保さん99.9。はい。
Here comes Yoshimura on a burst of speed. In fact, too much speed. He ends up adjusting his line for the worst.
出方は100点ですよ。
いや、もう100点超えてましたね。超えとるね。今ぐらいのラインで言っても俺99ですよ。
It's now top ladies league drifter Kubokawa. She hits all the right notes as she demonstrates a textbook example of drifting. Next up is Endo, who comes in with a clean entry. Ooh, his line as he glides through the course is just perfect! Mwah!
ドラミの時にこうやってこう走れって言っとるじゃないですか。あの通りですよ、本当に。
Here comes Kenji Kiguchi on the attack. Looking good through corners 2 and 3. Ooh, this one's a winner.
そして熊郷さん 99.9 厳しい。野村さんは100点。
もう100点。もう4人目ですね今日。
なるほど。
Here comes Imamura, the drift samurai. He's got the speed and he's maintaining control. Dynamic to say the least, but you wouldn't expect anything less from him. Up next is Kohashi, who leaps into the final corner. He's still accelerating as he maintains a solid angle. Oh boy, this must have been the fastest drift of the day. It's now Teramachi who glides into his entry in a beautiful arc. This guy's drifting is like a work of art. Here comes Mizuno, who made it into the best four the last time. He swings way too hard into his drift and ends up cutting over the inner corner. That's an example of too much momentum. Up next is Kazuki Hayashi. Uh-oh, he scrapes his rear bumper across the wall, causing him to straighten out. Here comes Hideyuki Fujino in his blue S15. His ride smoothly glides through the course like butter. That is one classy act. The judges are loving it. Here comes the first of the top 5 seeds. Kosuke Kamiya charges in with his 180. His entry is lacking any kind of angle, and on top of that, he's using the handbrake way too much. He gets better at corners 2 and 3, but it's nowhere near a winning run. Next up is Yakushiji in his orange S14. He swings into action and scrapes past the wall. Great, exciting stuff. He ends up going a bit off the course. Still, give him points for that vigorous run. It's now championship contender Seimi Tanaka. It's a surprisingly sluggish entry for Tanaka. He gets better as he goes on, though, and ends on a high note. Up next is Kiyofumi Jikuya in his red ride. Oh, look at that speed! Whoa, that has got to earn a perfect score! But the judges give it a 99.8. What gives?
俺もね8だな。
ストレート上のねクックックっていう
クックですか。
なんかねそういうなんか青い鳥じゃないんですから本当に。
古いわそれわからん。
Finally, it's top seed Yokoi. He zips into his drift entry, delivering the kind of relaxed performance that says, "Hey, I'm not wasting my energy on the Tonso runs." Good stuff, Yokoi. That's it for the Tonso runs. Some fantastic performances today. Now, let's get the Tsuiso battle started.
ベスト16水槽トーナメントということで
Lots of top drivers in the lineup. With some new faces and new face-offs in the mix, there could be some great upsets and surprises today. The first run of Waki versus Tanaka sees Waki sporting a weak angle down the stretch, giving the advantage to Tanaka. But the second run ends in a draw, taking the match into sudden death. It's the first run of sudden death, and Tanaka places himself right beside Waki. Waki tries to shake him off, but spins out instead. Oh, nice maneuvering there by Tanaka. With 8.5 from Kamimoto and 7.5 from Kumakubo, Tanaka has an enormous advantage. In the second run, Waki delivers a slightly faulty chase performance, allowing Tanaka to breeze into the best 8. The first run of Imamura versus Endo sees Imamura earn a 1-point advantage with his propulsive speed and flair. It's the second run, and Imamura leaps to Endo's side. But the angle's looking shallow, and it's anybody's guess what the judges will make of this one.
さあ、上本さん、
五分。
そして熊久保さん。
五分。
ということは1本目がコンマ5ずつなんで1の差、ベスト8進出今村貴弘。
The first run of Gray versus Tadamachi sees the latter straighten out into chase position, giving Gray the advantage. But in the second run, Tadamachi evens out the score and takes the match into sudden death. It's the first run of sudden death with Gray in the lead. Tadamachi once again straightens out from the chase position, but oh no! Gray swings way out of bounds in his drift!
これは寺町しょうがないでしょう。アンドリューのミスだ。
大きいね。
完璧に2コーナーもう戻ってはこれないところです。
Despite Tadamachi overtaking Gray, his straightening out on entry prevents him from enjoying a huge advantage.
としては寺町つけますけど、寺町がやっぱ振られてるからね。
あそこの振られなんですよ。あそこの振られを引いて、コンマ5と。
But the second run sees neither driver making any mistakes, ending in a draw. Tadamachi's advantage from the first run is enough to move him on.
やったー
The first run of Mizuno versus Kohashi sees both drivers with faulty entries and ends in a draw. It's now the second run. The two drivers swing into action, and Mizuno is close. He's right beside Kohashi, maintaining momentum. And oh no, just like that, his speed dies!
シフトが入ってねえよ。
なんだ今の。
ものすごい距離ですよ。
距離だったよ今の。
くっついてました。
73でしたね。
はい。くっついてました。
すげえな。
何あれ。
はい。それがちょっとあだとなったか、大きなミスと。
That error is all Kohashi needs to move on to the next stage. It's the first run of Kiguchi versus Ono. They swing into their drifts and both straighten out. But Ono's doing better now, fighting his way into Kiguchi's inside zone. The two judges give Ono a small advantage for his strong second half performance. The second run sees Kiguchi sport a weak angle in the chase position, allowing Ono to move on to the best 8. Something always happens in these Yokoi Ono matchups. It's the first run, and both drivers straighten out slightly as they enter the final corner. Ay, 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 Yokoi nudges Fujino's car. A match between these two always ends in a crash. It's like some kind of curse. Kamimoto gives Fujino a 7-3, Kumakubo an 8-2. Fujino has a huge advantage over the current top seed. The second run sees Yokoi earn the advantage, but it's not big enough to make up for his crash in the first run. Fujino moves on to the best 8.
田中整備、それから軸谷、ゼッケン2番、ゼッケン3番は、よしと。よしよし。
ああ気持ちよくぶつかった。ああ気持ちいい。そんな藤野君ダメやな。あ俺なんかじゃあ俺らのこと嫌いやねん。俺何もしてないよね。普通にガシャーンってくるから。本当に。 一方的に。
It's the first run of Yakushiji versus Yoshimura, with Yakushiji dynamically swinging into his drift. Yoshimura, however, understeers and looks completely straight. He then cuts a corner. Kamimoto gives Yakushiji a 6.5, with Kumakubo giving him a 6. With a huge advantage in his pocket, Yakushiji plays it safe and makes his way into the best 8. The first run sees Kubokawa straighten out between the stretch and the judges' stand, giving Jikuya the advantage. It's the second run with Kubokawa in the lead. Oh, Jikuya mercilessly hunts her down like a wild beast. Moving on to the best 8 is Jikuya. Coming up next, it's the semis and finals. It's the best 8, and it's gonna be a wild one. Tanaka, Kohashi, and Ono have all been doing great today, and it'll be exciting to see how far they go. The first run of Tanaka versus Imamura sees Imamura get very close to Tanaka and earn the advantage, despite a slight error. But in the second run, Tanaka sticks to Imamura's side from corner 3 onwards, taking this match into...
もう一本ずつ。
はい、お客さんたちも拍手をするなら思い切ってする。
はい、拍手。強要したの？
やる気はあるのかお前たちは。
それで、やる気はないです。見る気だけですから。はい。
It's the first run of sudden death. The two cars swing into action with Tanaka sporting a clean angle and Imamura looking a bit wobbly. Imamura does, however, succeed in getting up close to his opponent. What will the judges say? Imamura holds a slight advantage as they move on to the second run. There's not much of a points gap between the two. They enter the final corner and Tanaka slides up beside Imamura in a beautiful clean line. It's like he was aiming for that very spot. Fantastic stuff.
もう拍手出とるですよもう。
あれ狙ってそんなにできないんだよね。
できるんだったら俺たちやっとるよ。
ね。というところで上本さん。
6田中。
熊子さん。
はい、6田中。
ということで。
Moving on to the semifinals with a smooth drift is Tanaka.
なんとかです。次ですね、ベスト4なんで決勝行けば見えますね、シリーズが。頑張ります。
It's the first run of Teramachi versus Kohashi. Kohashi in the chase position straightens out right as he enters his drift. But he's more than making up for it now with his aggressive chasing.
上本さん、5分。そして熊子さん、5分。
Thanks to Kohashi's gutsy run, the judges call it even. It's the second run with position switched. The two slightly straighten out as they enter the corner. They'll need to do something to make up for it now. No, Teramachi, that's not gonna help. With an error-free run, Kohashi moves on to the best 4. The first run of Ono versus Fujino sees Fujino cling tightly onto Ono from the final corner to the judges' stand, earning him a 1-point advantage. But Ono doesn't even break a sweat, repaying the favor in the second run to take the match into sudden death.
もう一回もう一回。頑張って。めっちゃ楽しい。頑張れ頑張れ。最高。いやまた走れる。
It's the first run of sudden death. Both drivers enter the corner and Fujino slides right into Ono's inside zone. Ono desperately tries to shake him off. But Fujino's line becomes sloppy and he bumps into Ono at the direction switch.
あれは引けなかったか。
あれが引けなかったか。
そこまでは全然取ってるからね。
全然取ったのにな。あれを引かないとというところ。
Ono has the advantage now. Can Fujino make a comeback? It's the second run with Ono holding the advantage. Fujino looks calm in the lead, but Ono is all over the place. He loses his rhythm and makes one mistake after another. Oh, this is too painful to watch.
Nana 藤野です。
7ですね。
7です。
はい。そして熊久保さん。
64ですね。
6ですね。
Fujino causes an upset and moves on to the best four.
悔しい。
めちゃめちゃ練習しますわ。いい勝負だったのに。はい。もうシフトミスと相手に合わしきれなかったです。頑張ります。
It's the first run of Yakushiji versus Jikuya. Jikuya in the chase position places himself right next to Yakushiji, and boy is he close! Look at that fantastic control! He completely predicted Yakushiji's timing! The judges are in awe! Jikuya makes it look so easy! The judges both give Jikuya the advantage. Can Yakushiji turn the tables? It's the second run, and both drivers are coming in fast. Yakushiji in the chase position is slowly closing the distance. It was a high-level match, but Yakushiji was unable to put enough of a dent into Jikuya's points advantage. Moving on to the semifinals is Jikuya! It's the semifinals, and things will only heat up now. We've got a rematch of the Suzuka Round Finals, as well as two drivers from the same team pitted against each other. The first run sees Tanaka and Kohashi produce an edge-of-your-seat battle with neither driver making any mistakes. Tanaka, like Kohashi, is strongest in the chase position. And in the second run, he evens out Kohashi's advantage. The match goes into...
白い車にオレンジ色がぴったりくるとね、鏡餅にね、みかんが乗ったように見える。
そうだね。そうやって見えるのは多分野村さんあなただけですかね。
The first run of sudden death sees Kohashi lock onto Tanaka from corner 2 to earn the advantage. Tanaka, however, has not lost the sudden death round this season. He retakes the advantage in the second run, putting the match into another round of sudden death.
今もう完全にみかんの上に餅乗っかるんかなと思ったらちょっと離れたですね。
離れましたね。
It's now the fifth run of this match. Tanaka swings into action, but Kohashi is a little off. He eventually makes up the distance and closes in on Tanaka. But what do the judges say?
金本さん。
5.5 田中。
5.5 田中、そして熊久保さん。5分というところ。
The judges call it pretty much even. It's now the second run with position switch. After a shaky start, Tanaka is now running side by side with Kohashi. Oh no, it's a shifting error by Tanaka! What an unusually huge mistake for him! Oh, this looks like it's over.
Nana 小橋。
なるほど。そして熊久保さん。
6.5 小橋。
ということで勝負あり、決勝進出逆転小橋正則。ああ、ダメですね。でブースト、いやブーストかからなくなっちゃう。ブーストがね全然なんかわかんないです。なんか壊れました。
また決勝来ちゃったよ。どうしよう。でもクラッチが。
Koashi's dealing with a slippery clutch. He's having it sprayed to cool it down, but will that do the trick? It's the first run between the two teammates. They enter the corner at full throttle. Jikuya shooting into Fujino's inside zone. But oh, he straightens out! Looks like he was trying too hard there. Jikuya had a fantastic opening up to the judges' stand. If he had maintained that momentum, he would have been enjoying a huge lead. But he straightened out, and as a result...
5.5 藤野。
だから 5.5 なんですよね。本当に。
そこまでのね。
はい。
はい。
熊久保さん。
俺5分です。
5分。
Jikuya's error has placed the advantage in Fujino's lap. It's the second run with position switch. Ah! Fujino slams his rear into the wall! He tries to maintain his drift, but he ends up spinning out! Fujino wastes his advantage in an unforced crash! He went in overly aggressive and paid the price. As a result, it's Jikuya who moves on to the finals. Jikuya has been unstoppable today, while Kohashi has clutch issues. How will this match end?
順当にいけば実況かなと思いますけども、やはり何としても勝ってほしい、もしくは勝つんじゃないかな、小橋正則と思う方。でもいやいや何言ってんだよとね、今まで見てりゃ分かるだろうと、やっぱり勝つのはJikuyaに決まりという方、はい、小橋です。
おやよもやの展開になったですね、これは。
It's the first run with Kohashi in the lead and Jikuya chasing. Kohashi plows ahead with Jikuya hot on his wheels. Jikuya slides into Kohashi's inside zone, getting as close to him as we can. After the direction switch, Jikuya's still right there next to him. The judges give the advantage to Jikuya. It's the second run. Jikuya swings into an angle while Kohashi is straight as an arrow. Oh, but he's close. Really, really close. And he's not letting Jikuya get away. Kohashi showed some great technique, but he did straighten out in the beginning. What did the judges say?
さあ、貝本さん。
5.5 小橋。
5.5 小橋、そして。
5.5 小橋。
うわー、戦いはサドンデス。
Kohashi evens out the score, and the match moves into sudden death. Kohashi starts in the lead with Jikuya chasing. Jikuya may be favored to win, but Kohashi's not going to lose without a fight. A little distance opens up between the two, and Jikuya fights to close it. Kohashi runs with all his might, but Jikuya is getting closer and closer, and now he's caught him! Jikuya had Kohashi in his palm and earns the advantage. It's the second run with no sign of the match ending anytime soon. Kohashi slowly but surely closes the gap between him and Jikuya. What a spectacle! Oh no! Kohashi straightens out! That's it for him! Looks like Kohashi's ride died on him. What a horrible way to go out.
それでは発表してまいります。優勝軸谷清文。軸谷清文。
The winner is Kiyofumi Jikuya. It's his third win of the season, and it puts him at the top of the league rankings. The runner-up is Masanori Kohashi. Until his car broke down, he put up a great fight.
今日めっちゃ頑張りました。
めっちゃ頑張った。
いや頑張ったよ本当に。
はい。
決勝戦どうでしたかこの小僧。
小僧。
いやいや結構ね鈴鹿ツインで走って結構本気出していかへんかったらやられるんでちょっと頑張りました。だいぶ。
そうですよね。はい。
すごい戦いでしたね。
はい。というところで見事に3勝目を飾ったんですが、さあそしてちょっと悔しい連続第2位と小橋選手にも一言お願いいたします。
ものすごい成長したと思うここ最近。すごく上手くなったですね。
超悔しいっす。
なんか最後トラブルですかあれは。
もうなんかエンジンが最後吹けなくなっちゃって、もうちょっとでいけたのになと思ったところなんですけど、
まあ悔しいんでしょうけど2戦連続で決勝戦走ったんですよ。すごいことだと思うんですけど、
まあでも負けは負けなんで、
はい、はい、そうですね。
勝ちたい。
はい。
もう小僧のくせに男らしいです。俺なら文句言うとるかもしれないですけど、
はい、
次頑張ってもらいましょう。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Yokoi's carelessness has shuffled off the top three. Next round is at Meihan, the final tournament of the year. Who will be crowned champion?
またまた勝ったのはこの男ですよ。強いね。もう5回やって3回目。
はい、3回目です。
死ねばいいのに。強い。
ありがとうございます。はい、僕恵比寿大好きなんですよ、このコース。けど2位ずっと2位なんですよね。ずっとやっと優勝できましたっていうか、もうとりあえず気合い入れてベスト16からもう思いっきり、はい。
で今日何回も追走やったんですが、この山場はどこなんですか？
山場、藤野君ですね。
これすごかったもんあの時。
一回今年やって負けてるんで、もうとりあえず殺されるか殺すかの勝負をしてたんで、はい、もう思いっきりいきました。
ランキングもぐっと上がったですね。トップ14ポイント差で2位つけとるんですけど。2位がね、14ポイントも差が開いてなんか楽勝な感じがするんですけど、
いやいや14ポイントあるからって余裕かましたらサクッとやられるんで、もうやられへんように確実にいきます。
はい、じゃあ次の名阪意気込みを。
まあ地元に近いんで、めっちゃ気合い入れて頑張るんで皆さん応援よろしくお願いします。
またまたこの男やりそうな気がするですよ。
It's round 5 of the Ladies League at Ebisu South Circuit. Let's start with the Tonso Run.
ラウンド5、1回戦を行ってまいりたいと思います。
As usual, Nomura's here with his shades on to impress the ladies.
メガネをかけ替えた、ケンさん。
私がケンです。
なんでそんな別に渋くもない声を出さなきゃいけないんでございましょうか。
First up is Shizuka Suzuki in her green S14. Nice entry, but needs a little more speed. She drifts past the judges' stand and corner 2 without problem. Nice ride overall.
さあ続いてまいります。うるさいよ。お前が静かにしろ本当に。わかりました。
Next up is Emily Lawton, ranked number 11. She's married to Andy Gray, who we just saw in the Inter-Series tournament. She goes a bit off course, but manages to hold on and go through the rest of the course. It's now Nakamura in her S14. Nice momentum. As she straightens out a tad bit, but overall, this is looking pretty good. Here comes 9th ranked Moroka. She looks a bit shaky on entry, which she tries to make up for, but fails as she heads off course. Next up is 8th ranked Yasue. She understeers on entry and can't quite get back on track. It's now Yukie Hayashi. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened there? Next up is 5th-ranked Shinmi. She swings into a nice deep angle. She goes off her line a bit, but manages to get back on. Here comes 3rd-ranked Kubokawa. Looking a bit shaky on entry there. Still, the rest of her line past the judges' stand looks solid. It's now Okazaki, last round's winner. She sweeps through the course on a clean, beautiful line. She is probably good enough for the Inter-Series. Finally, it's top seed Michie Mimoto. She straightens out a bit on entry, but she's tracing the right line. Oh, not so great there at corner 3. With all 10 drivers done, we move on to the best 8 Suiso stage. Now, let's get this started. Ken might have other things on his mind, but the ladies get better at drifting every year. The roster shows a lot of familiar faces, in addition to a few drivers who use Ebisu as their home circuit. As the boys in the judges' stand discuss possibilities of a sexier event, the ladies get serious about their upcoming drift battles. The first run of Kubokawa versus Yasue sees Yasue fail to keep up with Kubokawa and, perhaps panicking, go off course at corner 2. Kubokawa has the advantage. Can Yasue turn the tables? The second run ends in a draw. The advantage from the first run carries over, giving Kubokawa the win. Nakamura versus Mimoto goes into sudden death. It's now the first run of sudden death with Nakamura in the lead and Mimoto chasing. Mimoto drifts off the line and loses her angle. Still, not really a major error. Nakamura now has a slight lead. In the second run with places switched, Mimoto's line goes small and Nakamura takes the advantage, allowing her to advance to the semifinals. The first run of Shinmi versus Lawden sees them both performing great entries, ending in a draw. It's now the second run with places switched. As Lawden tries to get away, Shinmi makes her move! She's right there beside Lawden! The judges praise both drivers, but ultimately give the advantage to Shinmi.
5.5.
5.5 Shinmi.
Moving on to the semifinals is Shinmi. The first run of Okazaki versus Suzuki sees Suzuki fail to keep up with Okazaki, giving Okazaki a 1-point lead. It's the second run with position switched. Oh boy, Suzuki straightens completely out. Okazaki's drift is looking a bit timid too. Ow! Suzuki can't seem to get a ride under control. Both look poor, but moving on to the semifinals is Okazaki. None of the semifinalists got here by luck. They all placed in the top 4 in the Tonso runs. Any of them could win the day. Nakamura in the chase position messes up her drift entry. She frantically tries to regain her composure, but she's got no rhythm at all. Kubokawa now has a huge advantage. It's the second run, and Nakamura will need a miracle. However, Kubokawa plays it safe and hits all the right notes. Moving on to the semifinals is Kubokawa. Shinmi in the lead scrapes past the walls for a dynamic entry. Uh-oh! In her haste to catch up, Okazaki swings way too hard and spins out.
これはスイッチ入ったでしょうね。ポロリです。すごいな。ポロリです。はい。
これ本当に女性の戦いでしょうかね。
バカだね。
Kumakubo gives Shinmi an 8, but what does Kamimoto say?
7.5。8じゃないんですね。
8じゃないんですよ。
これはなんか勢いよかったですか。なんかいますね。熊久保さんは8です。8ですか。上本さんが珍しくここを買いましたからね。ここ。
It's the second run, and Okazaki leads with engines blazing. She manages to keep Shinmi at a distance. Both cars go a bit offline, but Okazaki plows ahead and keeps Shinmi from catching up. Still, she doesn't quite make up for her error in the first run.
しかし勝負は決定してしまいました。
Moving on to the finals is Rie Shinmi.
いやー、戦いに敗れ涙が出るって初めてですわな。すみかちゃんの庭なんで、はい、思いっきり行くしかないんで頑張ります。はい。
It is now time for the final battle. The first run sees Shinmi nicely match Kubokawa move for move and ends in a draw. The second run sees Kubokawa gain a slight advantage, but not enough to make a difference. And the match goes into sudden death. It's the first run with Kubokawa in the lead and Shinmi chasing. Oh, it's a simultaneous drift with both drivers showing some nice speed. Shinmi thrusts her car into Kubokawa's inside zone. Nicely done. The judges give Shinmi a half-point lead. It's the second run of sudden death. Oh, Kubokawa into chase position straightens out of her drift. Did she put too much power in it?
Yeah, あれよく体勢を戻したよね。いやー、というところでこれは勝負あり。
The two finalists make their way to the judges' stand. Shinmi is already shedding tears of joy. Both put on a good show worthy of the finals. The winner is Rie Shinmi. It's her first this season, and she even bested Kubokawa. It is a well-deserved victory.
毎回ダブルエントリーしてて今年はでインターシリーズの方で、予選通過ちゃんとしていくっていうのを目標にやってて、その中で今回練習は乗れてたのに本番で失敗ばっかりして、でもうレディースリーグで思いっきり行くしかないって切り替えて、はい。
じゃあレディースリーグで頑張ったら俺がハグしてやる場合ってそれ目標に頑張ったんですね。
はいそうです。
はいそうです。
よかった場合。
わかりました。野村さんハグしてあげてください。本当におめでとうございます。
おめでとう。
Ebisu ends with Shinmi's second ever victory. The top three are now closer than ever. Stay tuned for round 6 at Meihan to see who wins.